Once upon a time, long before iPhones and laptops were in every bag, a brilliant engineer named Steve Wozniak worked at Hewlett-Packard, or HP. He was a thinker, a tinkerer, a real science guy. In his spare time, he designed something amazing, a personal computer. It was simple, elegant, and revolutionary. He called it the Apple I. Because he was a loyal employee, he did what he was supposed to do. He brought his incredible invention to his bosses at HP, not once, but 5 separate times. He wanted to share his creation with the company he worked for, hoping they would see the magic in it and want to build it for the world. Imagine being in that room. Wozniak, full of passion, explained his design. He showed them how an ordinary person, not a giant corporation, could own and use a computer. This wasn't a machine that filled a whole room, it was small enough for a desk in your house. He believed everyone should have access to this kind of technology. But the managers at HP just didn't get it. They looked at his plans, listened to his ideas, and scratched their heads. To them, a computer was a serious, expensive piece of equipment for businesses and scientists, not a toy for hobbyists to have at home. They couldn't see the future that Wozniak saw so clearly. So what happened? Every time Wozniak presented his idea, HP said no. They formally rejected his proposal, stating that the company did not see a market for such a device. They believed their customers, who were engineers and large corporations, had no need for a personal computer. They were focused on their existing, profitable products like scientific calculators and large-scale computer systems. The idea of a computer for the average family seemed strange and unprofitable. HP's decision was a polite but firm thanks, but no thanks, a response that would echo through the history of technology as a massive missed opportunity. With the door at HP officially closed, Steve Wozniak turned to his friend, Steve Jobs. Jobs saw the genius in Wozniak's design immediately. He saw the potential not just for a product, but for a revolution. Together in a garage, they founded Apple Computer. They started building the Apple I by hand, funding their dream by selling a van and a fancy calculator. That small, rejected idea grew into one of the most valuable and influential companies on the planet. HP, a titan of the industry, had held the future in its hands and simply let it walk out the door, completely unaware of the world-changing opportunity they had just declined. So why did a smart company like HP make such a big mistake? It wasn't because the people there were not intelligent, it was because of how big companies are built to think. HP was a successful, well-oiled machine. They knew their market inside and out, engineers, scientists, and big businesses. Their entire system, from research to sales, was designed to serve those customers. Wozniak's idea for a personal computer didn't fit into any of their existing boxes. It was a square peg for a world of round holes. They asked, which of our current customers would buy this? And the answer was, none of them. That was the wrong question. The real problem was a lack of vision, a kind of corporate tunnel vision. HP saw the world as it was, not as it could be. Their business model was based on selling high-margin, complex equipment to a small number of large clients. The personal computer was the opposite, a low-cost device for millions of individuals. This new market didn't exist yet, so there was no data to analyze or sales forecast to present. For a company driven by numbers and established processes, an idea without a clear existing market seemed like a foolish gamble. They were experts at improving what they already did, but they were not equipped to imagine something entirely new. Think about it like this. HP was like a train on a fixed track. That track was very profitable and led to reliable destinations. Wozniak came to them and said, "Hey, I've invented a flying car." The managers on the train looked at his invention and said, "But it doesn't fit on our tracks." They were so focused on the railroad that they couldn't see the value of taking to the skies. This is a common trap for successful organizations. Their success reinforces their current way of doing things, making it incredibly difficult to embrace disruptive ideas that challenge the very foundation of their business. They protect their core business so fiercely that they miss the next big thing. Furthermore, HP's culture at the time was hierarchical. Ideas had to go up a chain of command, with each level judging it based on established rules and revenue goals. A radical idea from a mid-level engineer had little chance of surviving that journey. Each manager who reviewed Wozniak's proposal was taking a personal risk by saying yes to something so different. It was much safer for their careers to say no. Without a system designed to protect and explore strange new ideas, the corporate immune system kicks in and kills them. The company was built for stability, not for revolution, and a revolution was exactly what Wozniak was offering. The funny thing is, the clues were all around. The 1970s was a hotbed of technological excitement. All over the country, especially in California, hobbyists were gathering in clubs to talk about and build their own electronics. Magazines like Popular Electronics were showcasing new microprocessors and do-it-yourself computer kits. These were the early signals of a massive shift, a grassroots movement bubbling up from garages and basements. People were hungry for technology they could call their own. These were not HP's traditional customers, but they were the pioneers of a new market, a market that would soon become mainstream. HP, however, was looking in the wrong places. They were paying attention to their big competitors like IBM and their established corporate clients. They were listening to the loudest voices in the room, not the whispers from the fringes where true innovation often begins. The signals from the hobbyist community were dismissed as noise, the activities of a few nerdy enthusiasts rather than the beginning of a commercial tsunami. If they had a way to scan for these weak signals, to monitor magazines, user groups, and emerging technologies outside their direct field of view, they might have seen the pattern forming. They would have realized that Wozniak wasn't just one guy with a quirky idea, he was part of a growing cultural wave. Let's compare what happened with what could have happened. What happened? HP's market research focused only on their existing customer base. They asked their current clients if they wanted a personal computer, and the answer was no. What could have happened? A forward-thinking company could have practiced empathetic innovation. They could have sent researchers to the Homebrew Computer Club, where Wozniak was a star. They could have talked to these hobbyists, understood their passion, and realized they were witnessing the birth of a new kind of consumer. Innovation isn't just about data, it's about understanding human needs and desires before they become a line on a spreadsheet. This failure to detect early trends is a classic innovation pitfall. Big companies often have blinders on, focusing only on the road directly ahead. They measure what is easy to measure, like current sales and profit margins, instead of trying to measure what is truly important, like emerging trends and future possibilities. The story of the personal computer wasn't written in corporate boardrooms, it was written in the pages of niche magazines and in the excited chatter of clubs. HP missed it because they weren't listening in the right places. They had the resources to dominate the coming age, but they couldn't see it coming. Now let's imagine a different timeline. It's 1976, but this version of HP has a modern innovation tool, something like an eCxO executive workbench. When Steve Wozniak submits his idea, it doesn't just go to his direct manager. It enters a digital platform designed to spot gems. The system, using artificial intelligence, scans his proposal and immediately sees connections. It flags keywords like microprocessor, personal computer, and hobbyist, and connects them to the rising trends it's been detecting from tech magazines and club newsletters. Instead of being seen as a weird one-off idea, it's identified as a high-potential signal aligned with an emerging technological wave. In this alternate reality, Wozniak's idea isn't rejected, it's escalated. The eCxO platform would help managers see beyond their immediate biases. It would present data showing the growth of the hobbyist market and model the potential size of a future consumer market. It could even run simulations. What if we sold 10,000 of these units at a low price? What new capabilities would that build for HP? The platform would connect Wozniak with other thinkers inside the company. Maybe a marketing expert who sees the consumer angle, or a manufacturing guru who knows how to produce things cheaply. It would build a virtual team around the idea, protecting it from the corporate immune system. Instead of being told no, Wozniak would be given a small budget and a team to build a prototype and test the market. This is called lean innovation. Don't argue about it in meetings, build it and see if people want it. The platform would help orchestrate this experiment, setting clear goals and tracking progress. They could take a few prototypes to the Homebrew Computer Club and get real feedback. This data-driven experimental approach would replace the gut-feel rejection of the old way. HP would learn, adapt, and discover that a huge, hungry market was waiting for them, a market they never knew existed. The final lesson is powerful. Innovation isn't just about having brilliant people like Wozniak, it's about having a system that can find, nurture, and support them. HP had the genius in-house, but their culture and processes were designed to reject him. A modern innovation orchestration platform like eCxO creates that system. It fosters a culture of curiosity and courage where new ideas are seen as opportunities, not threats. By detecting signals early, connecting the right people, and managing innovation as a portfolio of experiments, companies can avoid HP's historic mistake. They can see the future coming, and instead of letting it walk out the door, they can build it themselves.